We need to see that Trinity form, and we need to see it right now because NaVi are going to take on Astralis. It's going to be fiery, it's going to be on Inferno, and it's going to be cast by Lawners and Scrawny.
Aha, here we are, Lawners, on the tip of the stage, the tip of the iceberg, baby. And we have ourselves what I think is going to be one of the sickest matchups. We have NaVi coming off of their stellar performance at Star Series. Now the big question is, at an event that did not include Astralis, can they do it here in this opening best of one?
Yeah, it's a big question. And for NaVi at Star Series, they had so many things going for them. Everybody was playing really well. I mean, they talked about Edward, but even Zeus was playing really well. And that's something that we'll have to continue over into this. They did beat MIBR on Nuke in the last map that we saw today, but this will be the 18th win in a row on Inferno for Astralis, and as Vendetta mentioned, could be the #2 team, #2, 3 in terms of form in NaVi. A really good chance here for NaVi to maybe pick up this map. We saw Astralis crush ENCE on, we've seen Astralis crush ENCE on Inferno as well as crush Liquid on Inferno, so I think there's a chance here. I think NaVi have definitely earned this chance.
I mean, you and I are just coming off of the cast of Cloud9 versus Astralis, and I have to say, like, I was impressed with Cloud9's play. I was impressed with their ability to get away from that dominant banana control that we always kind of praise Astralis for. You know, they were at times playing the utility to a T, and so you think to yourself, like, if NaVi, a player, or a team rather, with players that we kind of glorify much more to a different level, then if they imply those same strategies, those same strengths we saw out of Cloud9, if NaVi can utilize them, I think we're in for one hell of a treat here on Inferno. But without further ado, folks, let's get this one started.
Yeah, we most certainly might be. Here it is, Glaive to fall back after spotting at the top of Banana, just as he's known to do. No damage has been dealt just yet, but the rotations seem hectic. There's a 3-man stack on Arch from the CTs. The Ts are lodged up in halls, and NaVi haven't picked a site quite yet, so you have to wonder what's going through Astralis' mind.
Electronic just puffing his chest, only showing one body towards Banana, so it's only going to elicit one of the rotators. Zipex comes over to play Coffins. And this is a deadly duo on Banana. Electronic and Simple shoulder to shoulder. But Simple's going to fall back to join Bomb.
Well, it's overstacking the site in some way. There it is. They've fallen back, but again, this Arch setup seems tantalizing for NaVi. They might move in on this.
This is Dupree with his face tucked into the corner. Device gets the fadeaway. Farewell, Edward. And now Zeus is going to be going for these banked grenades. However, this Arch play is not going to get activated. Bomb doubles back down Banana. And it's going to fall on Electronic and Flamey to try and get themselves into this site. But Zipex has Coffins, and we've only got 30 seconds left for NaVi. Another headshot comes up for Astralis. The Executioners, oh, too strong. Bomb drop, Simple left over, and this is just a glory of a pistol round from Astralis.
From beginning to end, you couldn't see a way that Astralis could lose that round. They had a perfect setup at Arch. They got an initial kill with Device on the fade back. That Iverson headshot, that was so nice at the corner of Arch. And from there, Dupree just lodged in the corner, a smoke blocking his vision in front of him, but that doesn't matter. He can hear all the footsteps. He knows the Ts are probably going to move back. And the whole time, Astralis had 2 players on flex rotate from the archway into B, and the rotations came in, and it looked like to NaVi that they were stacked the whole time. So really well done from Astralis. I mean, tactically, headshots, like everything was on point, and that's the game that NaVi are going to have to play against all game, it seems. So now we're going to move out with Astralis to the top of Banana once again, throwing just a shy amount of utility, of a nade, a flash, and an HE, and NaVi are here on the pistols. They have spent quite a lot of money. Don't know if they've saved a little bit on each of their players, but they've now taken over Hall's controls at the very minimum. You can see the bomb is still back in the spawn, and they're waiting to see where the options open up. CT at the bottom of Banana could be the first point of contact for the CTs.
Nice grenade. That one goes really deep, all the way to the tip of T-ramp. But Simple tips his hat to Magus, blows his head off, and will still set up Dupree in this situation. Edward, he's going for the same banked grenades that we saw Zeus throw. Second time we've had a player in this corner, and so far not needed, but now he's going to activate 1, 2, and nearly that third one. Edward's going to put him down, and funny enough, this is NaVi still established in a 3v2 situation until Bomb gets cut off by Device. He has to watch his flank, doesn't expect Simple to be in there, and now Zipex, of course, to try and clutch.
And his spot's been refreshed, so the bomb goes to the site. Simple moved into a strong position, and he comes out with the UMP frag. So that, for a lot of reasons, was a very strange round. Now, that presence at Arch from Astralis, I thought was going to be the nail in the coffin to bring things back. dupreeh there sitting once again. It shows a distinct difference from their game plan versus Cloud9. Clearly a focus on Arch here, but obviously Simple, if he's going to hit shots like that, this is going to be a long game for sure. Now, making critical play in that situation, and then shutting down the pressure of Xyp9x, who is no sleeper in rounds like that, is also important. So denies the 1v2 from a player that usually wins those. And NaVi now will move on to Banana once again. Oh, a bad bounce on the Molotov, very unfortunate, but it's not going to cause any problems apart from them having to refresh it. And the CTs have got a double lane setup. They've only got pistols except for dupreeh. So 4 men. Lanes start, and it'll come down to whether or not NaVi want to scout this way, or if they move into a full execute. Very scary here on the anti-eco to try to seek out information safely. You don't want to be a fool and run to a stack site, but scouting doesn't mean that you're going to win the round. You can still lose that player and then proceed to lose the 5v4.
Xyp9x just going to put down that smoke, buys a bit of time. Still no rotators coming out of Astralis. First player on flex would be Device.
Yeah, for them, they're limited on information. They've got to go off of a read. What do they think NaVi are going to do in this situation? They see a smoke, it can't scare them too much. They're going to have to be
second one could do the trick. Xyp9x knows he is entirely alone. Molotov's cascade over him. He's just going to hide behind box and will pick up the frag versus Zeus at the very least. So one and done on the B-bomb site, and nobody else here for Astralis means a second round for NaVi.
It's fine for Astralis. You know that you can take these guns into the next round. They can just buy it on top of them. Again, they can live since they're CTs, and the UMP might be the smallest minus here for Astralis, but there's a lot of positions that dupreeh can play in once again. If he's going to employ the cubby once again, he could potentially take advantage of NaVi looking for Arch, and I'm really curious as to why Astralis are focusing on Arch as opposed to a lot of early B presence. Maybe they just don't feel comfortable taking on that early engagement, that entry that could come their way. So now we'll move to the next round. Bomb will go off in a few seconds. NaVi will most likely recycle these UMPs. The CTs will get another chance to play, but NaVi sealing back the momentum in a big way.
I think there's already similarities coming out of NaVi versus Astralis compared to Cloud9, where you get these very cautionary situations when it comes to the versus pistols. And that's just, you know, a reminder that every single team has to take Astralis serious on a round-to-round basis. You know, there's no bullying the best.
No, you've got to have maximum alertness. We know that by now.
So far, so good.
Astralis did not even buy this round. They didn't even realize they wouldn't have the money for it. So they've got a couple of HEs. They know how to make these grenades go far. Now they have expelled a couple of them already, and NaVi do a good job of avoiding them. Not a small task by any means. But with just pistols, it'll probably be a stack once again. Astralis is going to go ahead and try to be cerebral about this, make a guess, a hypothesis as to where NaVi might execute into. And if you look at last round, they didn't even peek around the top of mid. So there's a chance that they go right into the same site that Astralis are taking. And it comes down to simply the two IGLs of the teams making those decisions against each other.
Ooh, nice spray by Simple. Keeps himself up on 20 health. The one-man show, but now brought back slightly. Magisk and Device with a couple of kills on their pistols. Will put Xyp9x into the clutch. He's not going to play around with mid in any regard. Charges, actually, past Moto as bomb ejects its way back towards B. Good pump fake here from NaVi. So much presence shown on the A site, but the best way to keep Xyp9x from clutching is don't even face him.
Smoke him out, blind him.
Yeah, that's what we always say.
Unplug his mouse, you know, whatever it takes, really. I can't do the latter, but they do have the information on where he's standing, and Zeus gets taken advantage of in the hallways. Tries to go for the pre-fire, as you naturally might, and it's not the cleanest of anti-eco so far. And there's also a chance that he gets another kill, but Electronic will be there and waiting. Simple lives with just a sliver of HP, and they move into the next round. Astralis will now officially be buying once again. They'll see if they have enough money to afford the op. I'm not entirely sure. I assume after a double save, they should be fine. Yeah, there's still trouble ahead here for Astralis. NaVi look like they are fully awake at the moment. And they've not got an op yet, so that's an interesting potential final problem for them to deal with in these later coming rounds. So this time, and we know NaVi or Astralis love to incendiary the bottom of mid. This time we see an HE. Save a bit of money, keep important utility for later. The nades go out, Zeus becomes unblind and then takes the face off of Glaive with no hesitation. No room to trade. Xyp9x realizes that he needs to try to make something of it, but can't. Not an opening in sight for him.
Banana control once more in question. Electronic will be left to his own devices for the time being. We still have these teammates back behind him. His utility on Zeus he wants to get out before he most certainly dies. 16 HP is what he walks away with, but at least it's that 5 versus 4.
Not a bad start.
I was going to say, big stats dropped on the desk by Vendetta prior to this game going live, whereby, you know, talking about Astralis having the best 5 versus 4 conversion on all of Inferno. We'll see if NaVi can make the most of their man advantage.
But then also a formidable 4 versus 5 conversion stat.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
You know, that's a big deal. So Moto Smoke here is NaVi want to make it known. It's an A-site take, and it'll come down to Magis. He gets the first kill. Blind expels a few too many bullets, but can't fall back now.
Jump though, missed jump, but Magis, he's going to be good to go. He's almost got himself the 4th, but the USP goes dry. And we're left 2v2 as those shots come skewering through the site. Zeus is lucky to be standing right now. A single point of health, but it's Simple. And Simple can be the single difference maker in moments like this. So he'll go ahead and put himself in the graveyard. Zeus is going to try to draw attention off of Pit, and we have Astralis going for the split. Back in through mid comes Xyp9x. Devices op has been blocked off by smoke, but that's soon going to fade. And you know he's going to be honed in on Zeus. Bomb's more than halfway gone, but Xyp9x puts down Simple first, and Zeus is going to follow right thereafter. It's the 2v2 win for Astralis. No, they don't have time.
No kit in sight. They have to turn tail. NaVi picked that up. I'm sure they didn't realize they had it, but the bomb will explode. NaVi go ahead and pick up another round. It was a 2v2 that it seemed like was moving along swiftly. Astralis were making a lot of ground onto the site. They pushed up. They got that kill nice and early. You'd think after Simple was dead, it was over, but that wasn't the case. And you have to credit Magis for the hold, but I mean, it ultimately counts for nothing. That was pretty fantastic stuff. Again, full blind, just doesn't realize who's going to come out, sprays a few too many extra bullets, and then still manages to get the kill, get another player down to red HP, and delay for long enough that his teammates can rotate in.
What's wild there is, I mean, if anybody had a kit that round, it was Glaive. You know, we saw the other 4 alive and no one had one, but Astralis played that retake so slowly. Like, again, almost as if they hadn't realized themselves. Alas, they'll still come back with an opening kill. Xyp9x puts himself aggressively to the top of Banana and opens up shop. Now this is, again, where the percentages tell us a tale of conversions. Albeit off the back foot. We do still have 3 players on those pistols, and Devices op is nowhere to be found at the moment. Glaive, in the depths of the bomb site, he's actually got players making a lot of noise around him. They haven't thoroughly checked. Bomb goes down, and as he fires off versus Simple, he still keeps himself up, but there's too many threats. Too many threats for him to deal with, and once more, Mohan, we're into the 2v2.
Almost so smart there from Glaive. Tried to peek the right side of quad, open up the options, and Edward will hastily put this bomb down
again
at the site of Magist. Now it's in no man's land, and Simple has to come out with the 1v2.
Peek said he dies. Magisk arrives off Banana, denying that plant a second time, and also following up onto Simple. That right there is a round where they kept 2 weapons from the previous. Sure, they didn't get their defuse on the A site, but they kept those guns. And those guns, here in the 6th, were so crucial.
And it amounts to a lot, as we can see. You know, a sign of poverty here. Edwards only got a Galil. Simple does pick up the op, which might be the key factor, but Astralis have all the guns they need. They've got the AUGs, they've got 5 players with incendiaries or Molotovs, and they can start off this round strong. Banana control certainly on the docket here for the CTs. That smoke plumes in Simple's face, and now the T's have to decide what is their option. Flash goes high, but I think Glaive torments them enough with that bit of spray that it slows them down somewhat. However, Electronic has found a pocket to peek into. And now we can start to move into position.
Whoa, nicely done. Electronic catches Devices. He tried to reaggress. I mean, we saw that boost on the head of Glaive. The reposition with Glaive getting back into the bomb site, presumably to set him up on a flash. But that piece of wood's a little too thin to keep him protected.
Yeah, that's just it. A great spam for sure.
And now we have Navi again, man advantage.
True test of a team these days. Close out the 4v5. Astralis, two men in pit, 2 on banana. Not a lot of information to work with. Navi can toy with them. They're throwing utility. They're just using electronic in this cheap kind of fake. And Flamey, as we can see, only has a CZ, so that might be an equalizer.
Og off pit. Playing this bicycle is so tricky. You could slide up and down, but he goes down. Flamey with just that sidearm able to clear out the first player. However, Dupree will still get one. And there's one above for Navi. 3v2. They've maintained the man advantage, but Astralis, as always, keep this close. Bomb's going to be planted standard, and both of the remaining Astralis players coming in off of Arch, blocked off by the smoke once more. Now, this is what cost them when they weren't able to defuse bomb. Zeus punishes Glaive as he does get the element of surprise, but Zipex manages to get Zeus down. The kit, this time on his back. And he's going to wait. He's just going to toy with Electronic, who resides up in the apps. There is no smoke to blanket this bomb, and Zipex, he's going to stick this. Not again.
Oh my
God. He pulled off the stick versus Cloud9, and he does it against Navi as well. This is unbelievable.
You could see how he tucked in, tried to get himself out of that line of sight, that tiny crack in the doorway. It was just enough for him to pull out the 1v2, a wild spray. And you didn't think you'd even get the first kill. I can't believe he turned that into a clutch, but I'm also tired of saying that.
Yeah, exactly, right? It goes into, I think, that same scenario we talk about where people are so afraid to try and play a clutch against this guy.
Unbelievable.
So you hear the bomb tap, but you think to yourself, I don't want to peek him.
No.
And if you don't, so goes the tail. Yeah. That's Astralis with a robbery.
No, that's just a lesson. You can lose the round playing too safe, and that's not something they teach you in CS school, right? That's,
no.
A tough task. And you could see, honestly, how much respect Astralis had for Navi in that round. There were so many angles that they let him run by at Arch. The AUG was sitting in CT, just very carefully peeking around it, but not taking the duel directly. They didn't want to take those fights. I mean, even in pit, there was clearly a moment where they were afraid of getting one-tapped. Again, simple Electronic run around that corner can strike the same fear into you as all of Astralis. So going back and forth at the moment. 4-3 here for Navi. Move into another almost full-on gun round. Zeus has just a deagle, and oh, excuse me. There's only one rifle on this round for Navi. It's 3 UMPs to work with. Not exactly the best entry weapons, especially at distance. The damage fall off is so drastic. It's going to be hard for the T's to make anything of this, and we could totally see a Halls pop on the menu. So they have started to encroach.
This is a really good way to mitigate the disadvantage of just these umps. But nothing is of a higher caliber than that op. And Device puts down the first one. Glaive activates his flank, taking down Zeus from behind. So very swiftly turning into the double man disadvantage. Magus catches Simple as he just tries to fall off, not wanting to engage. Most likely now enraged. Bomb outside Boiler. Flamey tasked to retrieve it, and there's a player now tucked behind him. Flawless out of Astralis. 5 survivors as they tie this game at 4.
5 survivors and everybody got a kill, right? That's kind of the key point. Nobody lost their duel, and that does mean that Navi did a good job of trying to find these 50-50 fights as much as possible. But as we saw, there was just a sensible array of utility thrown from Astralis, and as players tried to jump up on over the smoke, everyone from Astralis was ready for it. They had their positions in that turtle formation on the site and in pit, very passive on the A site, but knew the fight was coming to them, and all they had to do was wait patiently. So now Astralis are going to turn up the heat. They've got to push down mid. Magisk is going to be the first mercenary out.
Sheer aggression, sheer confidence, spewing over at this point, making mincemeat of the eco round of Navi. I mean, contrast this anti-eco from Astralis versus Navi to when Navi had Astralis on pistols, right? It was so slow, they were meticulous, they were calculated. And Astralis, well, they're just confident. Charge down mid, pop noggins, and close out now into the 5th round. They will be taking a lead.
Yeah, and it's always important to note just the fact that you win with 5 alive. It's back-to-back rounds. That's 10 players surviving if you look at it. And that's so much money being made. And that chicken wants to end himself.
Yeah, don't drink the bleach.
Don't drink it. Don't drink it, chicken. You've got too much to live for. And yeah, and we're just entertaining him here as the time ticks down. There's not a lot for him to do. I assume they're taking this as the CIS pause. They like to do this. I don't know that he'll peak anytime soon. He uses time to talk. It's a pseudo pause, if you will. And you should abuse any of those moments if you can. The CTs don't want to lose the fact that they've, as you can see from the firepower advantage, they've just everything in their favor. dupreeh finally gets the kill on Edward, and it's certain that NaVi have a plan. So round 10 rolls around. They finally got good guns for the first time in a few rounds, and I don't know if they'll have an op for Simple, if that's going to be a priority or not. We haven't seen extraordinary impact from him on that gun just yet. We have seen it with the rifles, which is a definitely important sign, obviously. And he is leading by a significant kill margin, 9 to the 4 of Edward in second place. If that's a metric you want to follow. Now for NaVi, looks like it's back to Banana.
Yeah, and Astralis happy to meet them there. Whoa, frag grenades late. I love how you can have so many elements of like so many layers and elements of timing when it comes to the grenades on Banana. Like, it's pretty simple, you know. Most people know the lineups for the frags, but it's all about hitting that timing. You could see NaVi respect them for the first few seconds, walk slightly forward, Astralis chucks them in, and
oh, yeah, it's always a Michelin star flambe.
Yeah. Cam's roast goose. There's the Molotov that pushes Electronic inwards. Zipex burns him to a crisp. And we have Astralis once more firmly standing in a 5v4. Simple gets the chance to duel dupreeh, but he dies. And so we still have the majority of Astralis residing here on A. Device's op shot connects to Zeus's head, and we have Edward left alone once more. Astralis on fire.
Count them up. 3 rounds in a row, 5 players alive, and it is finally denoted by the fact that they're on fire. What we're seeing is a point in the game where Astralis look so comfortable right after coming out of a tumultuous start to the half, which is a feat in and of itself. Now, the Banana stuff is not going so well all of a sudden for NaVi. They're throwing their grenades, but they're not meeting themselves halfway, getting to top Banana control. We could see that even Cloud9 were able to do that, and that's not a knock on them, but they're a brand new roster. Astralis just played Inferno, so we know that it's not a matter of, you know, where they are in terms of form, but yeah, that seems they've maybe learned their lesson. Pistols have moved up, however, and maybe that's the bit of aggression they needed. Electronic had a small opportunity to get a second CZ frag, and that could have changed the round drastically. Instead, Zipex will come out ahead, and looks like he'll be offered up another kill as well. Zeus comes flying through the smoke into his AUG scope.
Edward will trade this. We've got both him and Simple still up with Deagles. No weapon retrieved off Banana just yet, and Simple, as opposed to heading over there, will continue to play on A, where he almost gets the chance to best dupreeh. Revenge not found just yet. That's 2-0 record in these last 2 rounds. That arch closed down, but Edward does get his paws on the AUG. And the question will be, what does he do now? We've already got dupreeh aggressing down middle, so once more, this confident off angle. I mean, dupreeh did the exact same thing towards the A site last round. Plays arch in the middle of nowhere, seals the deal, and never even gives a chance for these NaVi's players to make the clutches happen.
Yeah, we'll see if they can do anything different now. And again, I think the battle begins and ends on Banana if they keep denying it. Now, they are throwing the nades. They're delaying for 15 seconds. They're trading some damage. But Astralis are almost always coming out ahead in terms of utility damage. And then they're always being left with as the victors of Banana, from the top of Banana. Now, we know they're not infallible there, and NaVi should push them if they have the chance. And then they can move into some of their other stuff. And we know that, you know, if they go eco to hulls on every single round they save, that's going to be a little bit too obvious. And it's important that they kind of do this over and over again, whether or not they plan on taking the B site. Now, time will tick down here into round 12 of freeze time. And we're going to get a replay of this round. So they do test it, and it's interesting. We see how easily Electronic was able to come through the smoke. For Astralis in this early round, their anti-eco versus the rifle rounds on Banana are almost identical. They're just playing behind their smoke. They're throwing their utility down. They're waiting for it to come up, and then they're waiting to take fights. Now, why was it that NaVi were able to find an opening there? Is it the kind of egregious aggression that we saw from Electronic? Do they want to implore that on a rifle round? I can't see why not if everything else isn't working out.
This 2-player apartment setup from Astralis worked phenomenally versus Cloud9 in the opening matchup. They drew them inwards so well, but this time Magisk, he's going to get aggressive. Gets his 1 kill, but Device had repositioned outside balcony, so he's not able to trade straight away. Still, Edward will then fall right after. A bit of re-aggression will cost him, and Zipex is going to welcome the peek on Arch, especially when that peek comes with Bomb.
It seems like as the head of the snake gets cut off, there's absolutely no room for adjustments here. They're just going out one at a time, looking for these opening duels. And there's, you know, a flagrant peek from Astralis, but they've been winning ground so dominantly. They can play with these kills. I mean, it feels like it's NaVi who are running on fumes. There is Astralis here who has no signs of slowing down. It's a closer round in some sense, but they don't even get majority down, so it's not going to affect their economy negatively. 10K plus on a couple of people from Astralis, and after buying. Edward just walking into the scope of Device, and that's where it feels like they're getting a bit more desperate, and that's not what we need to see. I mean, again, with a stat line like Astralis having the best 4v5 percentage of any team on this map, that same stat line needs to be begged up for NaVi. They need to be able to show kind of the same ability to come back when they lose an opening kill. They can't get shaken up. They can't start making individual plays. It's not too late when it's 4v5. It's close.
Yeah.
But it's not, and that's the difference.
I feel like banana control almost being ignored. Zeus is going to sit to the back of mid. He's been caught by this eventual peek. Glaive is happy to sometimes charge through smoke. Looks to skewer them as they set up, but Device just locks this down. There is no forward motion. And the commotion comes to a close. Glaive just skewers them from the back line. I mean, a flawless round once more. How many times are we going to have Astralis with all members remaining in these anti-ecos?
Coupled with the grenades, I think we need to see NaVi using electronic to get to the half wall on Banana a little bit earlier. Try to fight for that, maybe with teammates in the back supporting him with grenades, but being a bit more aggressive, working by himself almost as a vigilante and just trying to get one kill for his team. Otherwise, it feels like they're not confident in their default past that point, and that's where Astralis are just pouncing on them over and over again. And then I feel like maybe talk about, here's Simple setting up for a support flash as Zeus is going to make his way up. Smoke goes down, as it normally does, and it's a standard state of affairs for both teams, but where do we go from here?
More grenades thrown out. Now that trajectory tells him there's a player behind sandbags, and still ZipX will dive back into safety. And Device, just as he left, I believe, rings off an op shot, tags Electronic to 50.
Pay close attention to the CT rotations now. Are they going to overstack A site, or are they going to try to reclaim Banana? It seems like a flash went over, but there was a counter flash that pushed them back. Now a ton of damage has been dealt, and this invisible damage that the CTs are doing counts for something. It does affect how you play as a T. You're going to be a little bit more patient, a little bit more careful, and that could help NaVi, whether they know it or not. Now, did they turn this into a B-side execute, or did they go back for more map control? They have halls to work with. There's only 2 CTs at A. This would be a great read if they ended up attacking this site. But there is, of course, Device here with an op.
Posted up, but pushed back by the flash. He is going to re-aggress. Now it's Zeus holding this angle. He's got to be crisp, and instead he's going to fall. Has the chance to fire off, but doesn't make it matter. Now Dupree doubles back into the library. Smoke Grenade's going to completely deny him vision, so he will have to play to the other side of Arch, but he could get pinched. Edward is going to linger around library, watching these players at A. We have 20 seconds on the clock with Astralis having a 2-man defense here on B, including Glaive on construction, who doesn't get the best of Flamey. It all falls onto ZipX, and his AUG only gets 1. So the bomb plant is theirs undeniably. It's Astralis 2v2 retake once more.
They were very efficient. The time was bleeding down, but as we can see, sometimes when you try to split through Arch, the time is not on your side. It seems like you have a lot, but you've got to have Flamey come through. He sped it up, killed that Cons player by himself. The retake is now on, but NaVi are in pretty good spots. And it seems like Astralis are not entirely sure if they want to take this on.
Yeah, Device actually smokes off the top of Banana. This is going to put Magic in a weird position where he has to go jumping over the smoke, and in doing so, finds Flamey. Now it falls to Simple. And as he peeks off of construction, he does get himself the first kill, and he even gets the second. That's NaVi with 5. They find their opening to the B site. You set Simple up to succeed, and he will give it.
Of course, he finds a way to just contribute in the best way possible. The 1v2, absolutely crispy aim on that last kill in particular. It's not great guns here. There's still a Galil in play, but this could be something. I mean, it doesn't eat through the economy of Astralis in a very significant way, as we are now in the last round of the half, but they do get 1 on the board, which might be the most important part. 2 ops on the board for Glaive and Device. The first shot goes off from Device at mid, who had the better spawn. It doesn't amount to a kill, and he'll fall back off of it, so This will help inform NaVi of what they might need to be worried about, but they haven't heard the second op yet. And Glaive will have maybe a chance to get a free kill, depending on how lax NaVi are. Now they know Glaive could have, or they know that Device could have made his way back to B. They haven't heard an op in a long time.
Device flirting with the idea of standing in the open, but opts not to with smoke down. And even just these smoke grenades, right? Meeting NaVi every time they try to apply this pressure, it's going to force them to at least give up the control of brackets and double back onto Banana.
Doing a lot of good work here so far.
All right, the building blocks are certainly in place.
Yeah, but it's so here. It's so good that Astralis, they found an opportunity to look back for mid control, to steal it back, to make sure that they can't be made to look a fool. But the rotations are not out for the CTs, and the Ts are moving quickly. Yeah,
they're going to charge headstrong into this. Glaive has a sliver of cover, sees one go through smoke. That's a great flashbang and a great play by Zipex. 3 AUG frags until the op hammers one home, and now he's just dancing on the pillar. It's all he needs to do. Zeus can't find him. He plays with his food, and he no-scopes to close the first half. 10-5 once more from Astralis.
So sick to see him play with that pillar. It's not a big piece of cover. There's so many ways where Zeus could get around them, but he's playing off the sound cues so well. Is just peeking all the right sides at the perfect time, and of course Zipex makes a play like that.
Man.
That was absolutely phenomenal. It really felt like, and it always feels like versus Astralis in these games where they've taken such a lead, that NaVi are finally, and whatever team they're facing is starting to finally get things together.
Yeah.
Near the end of the half, they had finally kind of taken Banana control confidently, and then after that, they weren't able to do anything. But they were getting closer. They're getting the bomb down in B site. They were getting into those 1v2 situations. Simple did have to hammer one home for them.
Right.
But I mean, that's the game you have to play.
Yeah, and it's a big question once more. This is the exact same score we saw out of Cloud9 when they had their T side, and you can draw similarities in the sense that once again NaVi started strong, just like Cloud9 did. It was, I believe, a 4-2 lead here and a 4-1 lead in the first round, but complete total turnaround once again from Astralis. What we saw in that opening round, of course, was Astralis. They got to 15 and then weren't able to close the game. And that's where I wonder myself, like, how's the closing portion of this matchup going to go? Are NaVi even going to be given an opportunity to put their feet firmly down? Because Astralis, as we know, can stampede through you. And there were rounds even in this one where they didn't respect NaVi. They just played sheer aggression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see even Kane sweating. He's
yeah.
Putting away the energy drinks right now. More so than the rest of his team, I feel like. So he's getting into it. He's feeling it right now. Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do. This game is definitely far from over. I think we don't give as much credence to Cloud9 because they haven't earned it quite yet.
Of course.
But NaVi are obviously of a different caliber. I definitely see a world where Astralis are fearful. They lose a pistol. This half could get somewhat out of hand. In fact, I'm feeling like a bit more confident for NaVi on their CT side than anything else. I think where they shine in particular, and where it's kind of like fire and ice, is just the fact that they are hard to predict, especially when they stack on the B site. They do these stacks where you can see they don't have the information, and Glaive knows that he has to call into those stacks all the time. And for some reason, Zeus, I guess just like decades of experience, feels very comfortable to do that in high pressure situations, especially just ones that have like extremely high consequence. I think a lot of other IGLs out there don't have the cojones to make a call like that. It's like, hey, we don't know what's going on, but I think it's going to be B for sure. You
right.
know? And you have to be able to instill that confidence. I feel like that's what Zeus has as a tool, and that's what makes their Inferno both so scary and so unique.
Oh, and a lot of that boils down to faith in Zeus. I actually really liked when we had that simple player profile, that piece of content before this entire day started, right? Where Zeus says, like, I love playing with Simple. He is so good, but we have our differences, but we argue, but he's emotional.
Very
and
emotional.
Yeah, and when you talk about, the faith that is needed in a player like Zeus by a guy like Simple, when you are the best, you have to have that element of respect, but you're also the person who can get away with disrespecting everyone.
No doubt.
So it's cool to see, I'd say, these two personalities. And can we just take a moment? What is that 3K
that
from
was
Zipex?
So absurd. I mean, of course he does that, right? I mean, this is around, again, Astralis get closer than, NaVi get closer than ever to working things out on B, and then as Zipex goes ahead and makes an individual play like that, it's just, again, it's not something you can train, but it's something you can expect of him. So, another pistol round. Obviously the first one, it went the went the way of Astralis. They had a very fantastic pistol around the arch stack and the rotation of B. I mean, it looked like they never had a chance to lose. Here's a chance for NaVi to try to steal back some of that momentum. And Simple is not being shy at mid, which is huge. Astralis probably have a portion of this round dedicated to making sure the mid guy is scared, gets gushed, falls back, doesn't just stay here peeking. But look at him. He's happy to take these duels, and why not? Like, who is going to be more favored in winning any duel?
Zeus has that smoke, but hasn't put it down. Astralis probably looking to just barrel on through this. Zeus is going to eat a flashbang, but Flamey puts down a head. Magisk removed it first, but then he dies. Glaive with a kill and an assist. Simple's going to have to try and spam through smoke. It's so tough to hit this with just a pistol. Rifle, completely different game. But the bomb's planted, and 2 CTs slain. Still 3 remain, and Simple, that front runner, gets in. Can't even catch Zipex because he's covered by Dupree. Good team play yet again from Astralis. We praised their first pistol, Mohan, because they had everyone still alive. I mean, they shut down NaVi. And this time, they punctured their way through. Sure, it costs them 1, but that's a cost I'm sure they're willing to pay.
Yeah, and Electronic doesn't want to let go of the CZ in half armor, especially versus 4. With the time that low, he'll have to turn tail and run. And that's a round in the bag for Astralis, but not just a round, a pistol round. In the second half, when they already have double digits and are looking more scary than ever. So it's going to be an uphill climb, to say the least, for NaVi. They've got a lot to do. We'll see if they want to buy. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for it. I think nades can go very far. I think they're on CT side, which is one of the scarier maps, or one of the scarier sides on one of the scarier maps to try to pull off a clean anti-eco. And that's because the mid stacks are just B stacks with 2 people. I mean, even 2 people with a crossfire can sometimes do way more damage than they should, even versus a team like Astralis. And yeah, so Flamey has got a Nova, a gun that's been recently buffed in some sense. I mean, it's cheaper now. I don't know if the spread is a bit tighter, but it's definitely more worthwhile to grab. So,
especially if he can keep himself on top of those boxes. You know, you pump a shell off, drop down into the site, but he'll just hold the closer. Hangs around blue barrels.
Yeah. How does Astralis want to approach?
These players are going to throw grenades. I love this. The double boost into bounce. Deep frags towards Coffin, but they don't make contact.
Seems like Astralis are intent on going deep. They don't want to go through a smoke, so they're just taking time to throw a false exec, something cheap, just to make sure that NaVi exhaust theirs. But that's not the case just yet. Flamey had one in his back pocket. Just going to make things a bit more tense for Astralis. They're going to be scared now. They have an exec waiting, but they don't know if the CTs have pushed. And it's the CTs who don't have much to lose.
Not only that double frag, but now a double volley. Molotovs burn out the boxes, and Astralis are going to completely redirect themselves. Opting to hit this A site where Electronic plays close smoke. Edward's going to be near, but these CZs should go dry. Still, 1 kill at least from Electronic, and Edward will do the exact same. Deagle gets nothing done. And Astralis, on that last-minute call to divert their path into A, have succeeded in planting the bomb and succeeded in scaring off NaVi.
They might have earned themselves at least 1 flex rotator to go to B and then ran into 2 players on the site, but they were in comfortable spots. They had Electronic behind a smoke, sitting crouched there. He was offered up the first kill, even the second one if his aim was just that precise, and he did some damage, but only ended up getting the single frag. And then after that, I mean, there was still a second player there. There was a lot of chances for Astralis to lose that round, to be honest. Hightailing it back to the other side of the map is something that, like, I think it's fair to be critical of sometimes, especially if you don't have one person waiting, like one person waiting at the end of halls to make sure that no one's pushed through halls, make sure that no one's run through mid. I mean, that's a very common position for the 4-1, but they went all in on the fake, and I'm not sure if in their minds they were going to go with the B hit, but then they saw the refresh on the smokes over and over again. They thought, all right, it's probably just a best bet to assume that NaVi are just going to slowly overstack the B site. And they once again come away with a clean anti-eco. Or not once again, they actually have had troubles in anti-ecos in both these maps. Which is an interesting thing to think about. 3 players with exceptional ADR, Zipex, Dupree, and Magisk. NaVi definitely lagging behind in that regard. Flash to the top of the banana.
Curious to see if they try to play back into the B. I feel like for the vast majority of that last round, you know, they were very content to get into the B site. We saw the frags and the Molotovs go out, but it'll be harder this time. Flamey, as opposed to sitting back on site, is a little more forward with his Nova. Aha! Pumps a shell down range and will still lose his face. Device picks up a frag, and good job by Magisk. He gets 2 assists and then 2 kills. Getting his fingers on all the pieces, puzzles, pies.
Yeah. It's a consolation frag. Simple gets 1 kill with the Deagle. It's not enough to matter to Astralis whatsoever. They've converted into AKs, the #1 sign of opulence on the CT side. Round 18 might come to a close once again. Edward just waiting around as NaVi, or Astralis again, don't want to take any risks that they don't have to take.
And Zeus lives on in the hands of Edward.
We're going to need the sound effect, Connor, if he gets this Zeus frag.
Okay. But I feel like with Zipex watching mid, he's about to get popped. Woo!
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess it's Zipex who gets popped. WSP Dink gets the job done. At least 1 falls, or actually a second. Now Astralis maintaining a strong lead and even stronger economy.
So, Simple back in the comfort zone. Could be one of the last rifle rounds of the game, especially if NaVi don't play it correctly. They're going to have plenty of options here. It's their lay of the land. They can pick how they want to start the tempo off for this second half. They've got a lot to prove. And Simple looks like he's got a good spawn, but he's going to pick a slightly passive angle. His teammate crosses over to sandbags. It's a 3-man setup at B, but just 1 in the back with grenades. They're not going to spot anything just yet. Electronic falls back after maybe hearing footsteps at the end of halls, and the T's approach quickly.
Oh, he's going to play as close as he can. It looks like that smoke is enough to redirect them. Astralis is going to eat heavy damage down here on Banana. And then some.
That's huge. That was a couple of important points about playing close to smokes. One is that sometimes flashes go over your head. The other is that obviously you'll get to see them full vision of the players coming out of halls, so they can be smoke blind while you shoot them. But with the kind of execs that we can see sometimes, it's so valuable to make sure you dodge those flashes,
nice.
But you can't dodge the flicks.
No, Simple's going to nail 1 to the wall. Now has to come back round to try and control the archway. That's a big opening for Astralis to take, but this time shot goes wide. And Astralis, well, they opt not to continue on to A. They can double back easily. Device has found himself a bit of an opening, a gap off of the smoke, and a flash to the face of Zeus lets 1 pass. Then he loses his head, even to the Omni. But bombs still drop with 30 seconds on the clock, and Flamey almost lines up a couple bodies. Look at the damage they've done. Whether that be Flamey or Astralis to themselves. Point being, Simple and Electronic would be set up so well for this, but their prized possessions too much to lose.
You can hear it in your voice, but just as you mentioned, like that spray down was so close to just taking out Device. Could have been a 2-on-2, a very viable retake situation, and honestly, that round just simply rests on that hold. If it was, it was exactly what they expected to come their way. They were in a pretty good position to deal with it. The flash was great on Zeus, though. So even though he had that ACOG, he was fully white for like 4 seconds, had to move back out of position, ended up getting killed, and then that was it. So now Astralis go ahead and pick up that 14th round, making it look like light work. That last map, NaVi were able to 16-5 phase, I believe.
No, that was Liquid.
Sorry, they beat MIBR 16-8. You know, in a flawless second half. So, and Astralis looked just as good in some sense. So this is, very telling of the form that we're seeing.
I think it's safe to say, while the 2nd and 3rd place team in the world may be in question, #1's still looking solid.
Sure, yeah, for sure. Nova by choice. Edward? No, I mean, yeah, I guess they just don't have that much money, so it's going to try to put it to work. It's good in halls. Absolutely useful to have a shotgun there. So he's going to be holding back, eating flashbangs. They can hear that ops go past support. He does win his duel straight up, however, and you can see with the Flamey assist, the invisible damage, if you will, coming into play. Simple tries to take a shot, escorts his teammate from falling back, lets one ring off into the half wall. There's no player there to be a victim, and that is a really good start to the round from NaVi. That is how you play Banana if you want to fall back.
Now the question will be, can they maintain A? Because they have no forward footing. There's no prying eyes off arch side. There's no tricky position on porch. It is a very simple hold, and you are still talking about a player at a disadvantage on that Nova. Rifle peeks, goes down. Edward pumps one into the gut of the player on Abs, but he doesn't die. The shotgun disappoints, but Flamey won't. Flamey will pick up 3.
Okay, yeah, looking like a real Zipix right now. That was a super nice hold, and it was absolutely imperative. He killed every single one of those players. His 2 teammates were almost kind of a letdown, I want to say, but I mean, like how you win that duel versus Magisk? I mean, you had it at the rights, it was an easy kill, and then he just absolutely destroys you. Laser beams out of this guy, and it's versus Electronic of all people. The Nova definitely lets down Edward a little bit.
Zipex with Abs of Steel.
Yeah.
Just takes the pellets.
Right, just
to
the
the
washboard Abs. Flash goes high.
And I like that deep mid molly with it. You can sometimes catch T's out, but not this time. Astralis, a slippery fish.
Oh, this is interesting. They've thrown fast banana control with a lot of people, so it's kind of a reverse fake as the T's work through Arch really quickly, and the CTs are none the wiser. They can actually try to wrap, but Magisk ends up dying early at lane. Will this change things? Zeus seems so unaware of the thought that they've crossed this far. He's going to fall back, and Dupree will shoot him.
Yep. Electronic now has to come clear CT spawn, unless Flamey can continue on, even though he's alone. There's that first kill versus Dupree. Now Device will get past his flames, but we have 3 CTs who have just cut off the bomb carrier. The Device is dropped next to tree.
There's a smoke in place. They just don't feel comfortable going that far up. Electronic going to be camping this position. Flash goes out for him to peek. It's safe. It's all clear at the moment. Zipix will have to go massive.
Yeah, safe, but for how long?
Oh, a good smoke. Potential. Oh, is it a bad smoke, actually?
It is. There's a gap.
There, yeah. Molotov goes down. That cuts off half of the time of the smoke.
All right. This is going to be very tough for them to get into, especially now with Device having been dropped. Zipex has gotten back on bomb. And he's taking spam damage through smoke. 30 seconds, or rather health. 15 seconds, even less. And obviously with that scoped up on him, it's going to be so difficult to get the plant, but he will. The only position that's not exposed to Simple, and he gets that bomb down. But he then falls right after.
They're holding in the perfect spots. Again, putting that bomb down on the B sites when you have no utility is next to impossible to both do and escape, especially if you're behind first oranges. First of all, you have the audible queue. Secondly, for the CTs, they're not overextending whatsoever. They're just making sure you can't fall back to quad safely, and that's all they have to do. They can move in after that, and Zipix, you know, even a master like himself cannot win that clutch situation. So Simple, as we could see, having important impact in this round, also locking down the 3rd kill with his AWPs up to 16 kills so far, 16 or 17 with that one. And, you know, that's a good sign, but it's half the rounds that NaVi have of Astralis. They've got a long climb back. There's only one player on the CTs here at mid. He's finally going to get refreshed in his position. The T's are moving out quickly, but they've only got pistols.
Right, pistols. Oh, okay. Can work.
I said only, I didn't mean only.
Oh, no.
You know, like that.
Oh, my lord. Even Edward's going to get dinked up. Down he goes. That's 4 frags off of the handguns. And we have Electronic completely stranded on the opposite side of the map. Now, if he can get the back of Zipex, which seems most certain, then he's got a 1v3 retake on his hands.
What do you say about that one, man? Just call for the live on 3. Restart the round. I mean, that is a write-off.
You see, that's the kind of sickening situation
yeah.
that Astralis, more than anybody else, can seem to pull out of thin air.
Right. Yeah, magicians.
It's the Astralis effect.
Right.
There's something in the Danish water.
Yeah, I mean, you can drink the tap water. Maybe there's where you start.
It's all those fresh vegetables.
You never think that was a luxury until you went to Denmark.
Right. Damn.
Dude, so yeah, I mean, where do you even start with that? Like, even from the viewer experience, you see all of these, there's just a flurry of frags.
Glaive?
You can't account for each of them. And going down with the ship, I respect it.
Yeah, like a good captain.
Good, yeah, that's cool. That's maybe a little asleep at the wheel. Maybe didn't
Only had a
be able to
CZ.
escape. Thought maybe they come in and tap the bomb. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. They've got lots of money left over. They've got lots of rounds to work with, and they just won the eco, the round that they were saving for a buy. This is nuts, too. I mean,
there's one.
It slowed down a bit when we saw Dupree do this. He was just completely turned around and then goes ahead and gets the second one. So that's why a little bit of a face dance there. Oh, man.
Zeus literally taking the place of the first corpse.
That's so wild.
You know, pile them high.
Yeah, just a dog pile of dead bodies.
Ooh, Simple almost finds timing.
And so now just psychologically, they've been like tormented with that previous round on top of all of the dominant rifle rounds. And Zeus loses his battle, one that he was usually good for. Gets left out in the open, no flash to support. Blamey at least gets the trade. It's a wall bank flick. It's a nice one. And an op is coming in. This is so easy to execute into.
Oh, but he doesn't shoot. He unscopes before he shoots, and Simple's caught in smoke. There you have it. That's Astralis just steamrolling their way into the B site. A 2 versus 4 situation for Edward and Electronic on a retake towards B. Spam goes down, as does Electronic, and it all comes crumbling around them. It's Astralis yet again. 2-0 here in the opening 2 rounds, Launders. Both games on Inferno, and both games looking pretty easy.
Yeah, really, really nice stuff. I mean, especially towards the end of that game. I think it's awesome as well for Astralis. They end that round with their biggest problem, which was taking top banana. Zeus was doing well, and they even shut that down. But that's it for this game. We're going to go check out the C stream and see what they have in store.
Peace.